Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. This is your host, Ruel. I'm on the go. It's morning, and gosh, like a lot of you, we're constantly in a state of motion, always running what we gotta run. And lately, I've been feeling like, man, it just never stops. The only difference is what piece is moving and at any given time. What am I talking about? Well, first of all, I just want to say welcome. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you are a long-time listener, what's up, guys? High five. Yeah. I guess I want to start out with stuff that's going down, and the more immediate stuff is, you know, the realization that just when I think that things can't be any more hectic, they just are. They just do. It just is that. What am I talking about? Well, let's just try to quickly run through a typical day. Okay? Into my world. Welcome to the world of me. So, you know, I'll get up. My wife will give me a nudge. It's time to get up, as she often does. God bless her. Without her, I'd be missing a whole lot of the day, because my default is to just kind of like sleep through the stuff. Sleep in. And so, you know, I basically will hop out of bed 6:14. Why? I don't know. Why the 14? Why not the 15 or the 13, but the 14? It just, you know, she gives me a nudge around 6, and and I don't want to get up. And what I have to do is grab my phone on which is charging on the bedside, and I turn it on. And you know, it's the glare of the screen hurts my eyes, so I gotta like close one eye and squint the one eye that's open. And it's that artificial light that starts to get my wake up motion in motion, right? And I look at it, I double check the time, and then I close my eyes, and then something happens at 6:14. My body just kind of jolts itself up and out of bed, and you know, I need to get up, and I need to make enough sort of noise while getting up so that my wife, who is downstairs getting some stuff ready, is aware that I did get out of bed. Because there have been those times where I haven't been able to jolt myself out of bed, and she'd have to come back upstairs and remind me to get up, and that's never good, because then I just feel like a total loser. So I make enough like footstep sounds when I'm getting up. I head over to the restroom, take a leak, and grab the baby monitor, because we're still running the monitor for the girl, and I bring it downstairs with me. And I'm still waking up. It's dark down. It's dark outside, so the downstairs has the kitchen light on, and I'm still not used to the light. But we have a crappy baby monitor that needs to constantly be plugged, because the battery that allows it to operate without a plug is no longer holding a charge, so I have to plug the thing. And I begin the motion of warming up the pans so that I can start cooking, and cleaning out my French press from from yesterday, so that I can make a new batch of coffee. And I need to turn on the Amazon Music app on my phone so that I can get some music playing, just so I can start to get in the mood of doing stuff. So I do that, and I gotta cook. I gotta get the bacon out. I gotta lay the bacon on a platter. In the interest of time, I prepare bacon in the microwave with paper towels. And I gotta get the Spam out of the refrigerator. Yep, I cook Spam, and I mentioned it in a couple episodes ago. I prepare Spam. My son takes Spam fried rice to lunch for school. While most of the other kids, do PB&Js and school lunches, he packs a little canister with Spam fried rice, and I'll do that. And and I'm cooking up some slices of Spam on a separate pan, and they end up being basically little Spam chips, right? Because of the way I prepare them, they get really dry and crispy, but they still have that nice little crunch and saltiness to them. I do that, so I've got and I have to fry up an egg. So what's going on is I'm frying up an egg and 3 strips of bacon for my wife for her breakfast, and I've got the Spam chips preparing. And when I'm done with my wife's prepping her egg, then I'm using that same hot pan to make that Spam fried rice. The bacon is done, gets done. I'm working on my coffee. I'm listening to tunes, and right around 7 o'clock, I'm pulling my middle son out of bed, but he would have been already dressed, because while I was making breakfast and prepping lunches, my wife gets him dressed while he's laying in bed. So then 7 o'clock rolls around, and I bring him downstairs. He's still pretty knocked out, and we're trying to wake him up, and bring him to the couch, and bring breakfast, which is basically some of the bacon and a little bit of whatever cereal we have available. He likes either the original Life cereal or the toasted oats, the plain old toasted oats, or the rice checks. So that's happening, and now I'm able to enjoy the rest of my coffee because all of the food prep had been done, right? So around 7:20, my son would have had some sort of breakfast, and a bus comes to pick him up. So he gets out the door by that time, and I'm getting my other son out of bed now and dressed and ready for breakfast. And what he has for breakfast sometimes will be some of that fried rice that I made, or sometimes he'll have a gluten-free English muffin instead, and with a whole lot of Kerrygold butter spread on top. And he takes vitamins, and he gets some water. Sometimes he'll have a little bit of the collagen mixed in with the water, flavorless. You can't see it. What else? Yeah, and then I gotta take him Well, while he's all ready and eating breakfast, I'm getting ready for work. And when I'm done, by that time, I got to take him to school. So while this is happening, my wife's already left for work. She's packed up her lunch that we've prepared during the weekend, and she's off to work. And I'm taking my oldest son to school. I drive him, and we'll probably leave the house at 7:20. So 20 minutes between. Not 7:20. What the heck am I talking about? 8:20. So an hour from when the first kid left. We got to head out and bring the other kid to school. Head back, depending on the day. Head back home after I do that. My son's drop off. His bell rings at 8:40, so I'm out of the door at 8:20 to take him to school. And then I head back to the house, and on a day to get my daughter out of bed, get her dressed, take her to preschool around 9, a little after 9, right? So it's a lot of this constant moving, meal prep, getting kids dressed, getting them to school. I take the last kid to preschool, and then I have to find coffee because now I need more coffee, and I need to find parking. I get to decide whether to park safely but farther away from the train station, which is a 3/4 mile distance, and then do the 3/4 mile walk to the station, or park midway in a parking lot that is clearly labeled, signed, private property. There's no train parking here, but everybody else does it. So what I'm doing now is I've taken that option. I'm parking in a lot where you clearly are not legally supposed to, and but people do it anyways. And doing that, and so then I get to hike half of the way up to the train station, wait for the train on the platform, get in the train, and do like a 40-minute train ride, which is not too bad. And when I get to where I need to get, I leave the train station on the other end in the city, in San Francisco, and I get to experience the glory, which is the smell of the city and the impressive architecture and the busyness. But it's kind of gross, to be honest, right? I mean, that's just you gotta appreciate everything about the city to appreciate even that stuff. But it gets kind of gross. Get to work. And work is cool. Work with some great folks, doing some cool stuff. And at the end of the day, I gotta leave a little earlier than everybody else because my kids have dang appointments and pickups and all these weird stuff. So I gotta do the reverse. I gotta get back on a train, do a 40-minute ride, and depending on where I parked, I'd either do a 3/4 run to the vehicle or whatever half of that is, and it's those days where I'm running to not miss a kid pickup for an appointment or something that just makes the day feel like, oh God, this is never going to end, is it? So I just gotta get used to it, toughen up, and on a side note, what that's done is when I have to do these runs with a backpack, with a computer, and whatever other things I have on my back, running to the vehicle, it's offered some level of, conditioning that I think is going to serve me well for the upcoming race this weekend. So yeah. So I pick up one. I got to decide. I have 3 kids to pick up. Depending on the day, I'll have 3 kids to pick up, and I got to decide who I'm going to pick up first, and calculate the appointments. Sometimes the days are, okay, which after-school place is open the latest, and that kid's going to be, whatever kid is there is going to be picked up last. But it varies. It depends. Sometimes my wife is able to intercept a kid while I'm out picking one of the other kids, depending on what her commute situation is like. So we're just constantly, picking up kids, and depending also on where I'm at, when I take a kid to an appointment, I'm able to get back, log in, do work for a half hour before I gotta scramble again to get other kids together, and eventually all, the family's together and we're having some sort of dinner either at home or out. But it doesn't end there, because then, it's like gathering all the kids, getting their attention to like, hey, it's time to take a bath, it's time to take a shower, it's time to get in PJs, it's time to wrap up your homework, it's time to brush your teeth, it's time to get to bed, all so that we can do it all over again. And, and in between all of that evening routine, I'm also getting back on the computer and I'm looking at work and yeah. So everybody knocks out, and sometimes I can't get a decent sleep. I gotta take care of the little one who may be a little bit more needy, so I gotta spend time with her in her room to kind of calm her down or get her comfy and get her to sleep. It used to be where I would pass out on the edge of her bed to help her get to sleep. I did that for a long time, and I never slept in my own bed, which sucked. And then recently got stopped that, but it was sort of there's this weird bridge where if I wasn't there, then she was like playing with a phone to watch like videos of, I don't know, like Play-Doh or something, and then she would watch videos on the phone and then pass out. Did that for a few nights and realized that's just developing a really bad habit, and who knows what it's going to do to her eyes. So I just recently stopped that. So now she's able to just like a regular person go to bed. I know you're not happy, you want to play with a phone, but no, it's time to go to bed. Everybody's going to bed, and then so I'm like, just snuggle up with your teddy bear and go to bed. And she goes to bed. Yay, she goes to bed. I don't have to crash out in her bed. She's not playing with her phone in the middle of the night, and I get to sleep in my bed. So that the next morning, my wife can nudge me at 6 in the morning and say it's time to get up, so that I can jolt out of bed at 6:14 and do it all over again. Yeah, and somewhere in the mix, I'm doing this. I'm talking to you guys. Wanting to get a podcast out because I really enjoy having fun on the podcast. And to be honest, sometimes I don't know what the heck I'm going to talk about, which leads me to talking about my typical day. And ta-da! Now you know. I do have a few notes. I want to talk about some stuff. And I think it'd be interesting, at least to lay it all out. If I haven't mentioned it before, putting out the podcasts for you guys, it really is sort of therapeutic. It helps me sort out my mind. It is a kind of therapy, and I really appreciate you guys listening and being a part of it. I'm going to change subjects real quick. Just an observation, and it's kind of gross, and long-time listeners know that I get kind of gross because I'm just a gross guy. But time and time again, when I'm out with the kids, somebody needs to use the restroom, and I gotta take the kids. And a lot of times it's the guys, okay, walk up to the urinal and then take care of business, but watch where you step, because, hate to say it, I'm a guy, but, guys make messes in the bathrooms, no surprise. So I want my boys to, just look on the floor. If it's wet, don't step there, because it's just gross. It's somebody else had, peed on the floor, or several people have peed on the floor and no one's cleaned it up yet. And so the kids they step away, and the same with me. I'd have to step away, and if I can't kind of spread my feet wide to avoid it and stay close to the urinal to take care of business, same with my kids, then I'm actually further away from the urinal, or my kids are further away from the urinal, and we've got to basically do a long distance shot into the urinal, which is kind of ridiculous, because what ends up happening is it's never without making a mess, right? And this is for the ladies who want to know. Well, ladies don't need to know, but if ladies ever end up going into the men's restroom and they wonder why there's a big old mess, because one mess leads to another, right? And maybe even you guys are like, why is it always gross? Well, someone makes a mess, and then guys like us have to step further away from the urinal, but we want to take care of business, so we're shooting from a distance. Some of the some of the piss gets in the urinal and the other kind of just never makes it, right? And then over time, as more and more folks do this, people are stepping further away, or people are just stepping in the mess. It's one big old messy, gross thing after the other. For the adults, not a big deal. We're paying attention. But, for the kids, like, I don't want my kids to be, because the kids will do things like, they'll step in wherever they step, and kids like to, put their feet up on chairs and step on car seats, and they put their feet up where typical adults don't put their feet up on. And so it's even more important that you keep the kids away from all that mess, because they're just gonna like smear it all everywhere. How kids like to like put their feet up on the when they're sitting in the back seat of a car, they like to put their feet up on the bucket seat, on the back of the bucket seats. Is that what they're called? The front seats? Yeah. So just gross. Gross. And, and since working in the city here in San Francisco, and, just the streets are disgusting, I've become even more hypersensitive and aware of things that are like smell of urine and fecal matter and all that stuff. Vinny talked about it on his recent podcast where he described the city as like the second most, in having like human fecal matter in the city, and it really, there's truth to that, and it's just a concrete environment, and a lot of dog lovers out taking their dogs out, and not everybody is cleaning up after their dog's mess. At least, away from the city where you've got a lot of green, dogs will have the trail and the neighborhood trails to go out and walk and get some exercise, and the dog owners pick up after their animals, right? And even if they don't, there's like out on the trail by the wilderness or whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But in the concrete of the city, when there's a mess, if it's not an animal, then it's some homeless guy and making a mess, and that's why it's just a gross place to be in certain parts of the city, not all parts, right? Some places are more have a greater, I don't know, density of the homeless, and there are other parts of the city, and that's away from downtown where it's freaking fantastic. But yeah, hyper aware of the gross, and just it's the yeah. So if you're having breakfast, if you're having dinner, if you're having lunch, I'm happy to be listening to this podcast. There you go. Awesome. Let's see. Let's talk about the run. Yeah. So I'm days away from having to toe the line, and that sounds like I'm actually going to be racing, but it is a race, but I'm not racing anybody. I am just out to try and accomplish the distance for the event, as a way to get myself out there, because I haven't had the opportunity for a long time to actually put myself out there, at least on solo runs and whatnot. So this is a way for me to put myself out there and not have to rely on my family to provide support and aid and whatnot, because this is a paid event. It's already out there. Awesome. So leading up to this, to be quite honest, I've been waking up out of bed feeling older than I am. And I know it has to do with just making a lot of bad food choices, and it's taking its toll. I've been doing it for too long, for months and months, so trying to get better, and hopefully you can turn this thing around. But once I wake myself up and I get that hit of coffee, then I start to wash that feeling away. But I just can't help but think about it. Like that moment I get up, like, oh my gosh, I'm an old man. Yeah. Fortunately, it's temporary, you know. Thank goodness for coffee. Thank God for coffee. So yeah, I had been doing some running around the city, intermittently, nothing regular, just getting my legs in motion, you know. So on days that I get to do that, you know, I'll run for an hour out and back. You know, you can add that to the running that I do to get to the vehicle at the end of the day. You know, the 3/4 mile run with a backpack, which I think, you know, as old as I feel in the morning, you know, there are some days when I'm out. I don't know if it's just the adrenaline because I don't want to miss an appointment or something, and I'm running, and I feel good. It feels good to be on the move, you know, having the leg turnover and whatnot. And I kind of feel like I'm a little bit stronger because I'm running with a backpack. It's kind of neat. However, that's only 3/4 of a mile when I'm running from the train station to the vehicle, you know, and the hour runs midday, you know, it's just an hour. You know, I've not tested myself in a long time going 2 hours, 3 hours, more than that, right? So I'm just gonna be relying on the fact that I've done it many times in the past, and just go with the flow. So it's, you know, and there are times in between runs too where I feel like things like, you know, sore shins. The other day the other week it was a sore foot, you know. So I don't know if that's because of the change of shoes. I've picked up weeks ago. Actually for the holidays. I picked up an old pair, not an old, but a new but older version of the Ultras, the Lone Peak shoe, the Lone Peak 2.5, I think is what they are. You know, it's nice and wider than the Hokas that I had been running for a long time. My feet feel great in them, but you know, they're not as cushioned as the Hokas, so I think I've had to get used to, my body's had to get used to running in them, and it's showing itself with signs like, you know, a little bit of pain here and there on the foot or on the shin. Yeah. So that's that. I'm in a couple of days, like I said, I gotta do this 50K trail run. It's been wet a lot, and got an update in an email, and I noticed the update on the event website prior to the email that they had, due to rain and conditions of the trail, that the race organizers had to, you know, modify the course, which is great. I actually like it, not because I've seen it or been on it. I like it because with the redrawn course on a map, I can read it better. For some reason, the original course drawings on the map, I couldn't decipher well enough because I'm colorblind, man. And they'll do things like the 5K course is colored in yellow, and the 10K is in pink, you know, and the half marathon is in orange, and you know, and they're all kind of lightly shades of these colors, and you know, I can't see for squat. Right? I have to look really hard, and for things like the 30K and the 50K events, you know, they'll do things like the 50K is do the 30K plus do the 10K. I don't know. So they'll just say add this course to this course to this course, and then a little bit of this color and that color, and you end up doing the course for the 50K. So the rerouted course mapping, I don't know, for some reason the colors stand out, you know, better for me, and I can see clearly where I'm supposed to be. But, you know, there's that. I got to carry a map, get a sense of where I'm at. that's going to be something different. And what else? There's going to be course markings and signs and stuff, but that can always get altered one way or another because of vandalism and whatnot. But yeah, so I am excited. I have not practiced any fueling strategy other than just running on a fasted estate, fueled by coffee and heavy cream. In the past, what I've done for my 40-some milers, I've done like the UCAN, I've done the raw almonds, the olives, maybe a little coconut oil in the mixture, things like that. The electrolyte capsules, the amino acid tablets. I've just chewed on that stuff, and I've talked about it before, and I think I've listed stuff out on some website post somewhere. And so what I'm basically going to be doing is, since there is going to be aid, and for the most part the aid is not going to be anything that I'd go for right off the bat, but in case I do, if the mood strikes me, I'll go with whatever's on the aid station. It is an NSNG, but it's a race, so you don't have to be strict about NSNG. But I will be carrying a bottle of UCAN. I'll roll with that. I haven't decided whether or not I need to carry, a pack, because I'm so used to having the pack. But it'd be nice to not have the pack and go as light as possible. And I just realized I'll be rocking an expired batch of UCAN. I didn't realize that I've had that stuff for quite a while and unused. But yeah, I've got some plain UCAN Superstarch that is past date. But you know what? So what? If it makes me sick, then that'll be exciting, but I doubt it will, because it is cornstarch. It's cornstarch. I've Googled whether or not cornstarch can go bad, and all that I found is, if stored properly, it doesn't go bad. So all the stuff is in its original packaging. I can only have faith that the manufacturers of the UCAN Superstarch package their stuff safely, and I'm going to roll with. It's still going to be viable. I think the company has to put a best buy date. That way folks know its freshness. But yeah, think about it. I mean, cornstarch, corn's a grain. How much grain is stored in sacks and in warehouses for a long time, and for cultures and societies to thrive off of and stuff. So I'll be doing that. It might be a good idea for me to just have some maybe today, tomorrow, just to get my guts kind of yeah, there it is. There's that stuff that Ruel wants me to consume while I'm running and digesting. Okay, I know what to expect. I don't know. I'm trying not to overthink this whole run. I want to stay excited, and it's going to be a new thing for me. I don't know. I'm also kind of nervous, and it's not like I've not done the distance before. I just haven't done the distance on this course. It's going to be nice and wet and sloshy, and that'll be different. The terrain. A lot of my longs run have been nice and paved and clear. This is going to be different. So, yeah, it's the Lake Chabot. Was it Red Ridge or something like that? Trail. It'll be fun. But yeah. And I think when times are hard, I'm going to have to think about, my family and stuff, and tell myself that I'm not running just for me, that I'm running for my family, and try to use the thoughts of my family, to sort of get me motivated, especially when times get hard out on the trail. Like whatever I'm feeling may feel like it's a tough situation, but there are so many other challenges that happen in our lives that are worse, and we could put things in perspective. And I'll likely do that. I'll have to. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like mind games with myself, and I've had to do that to get through some of my long runs in the past, and I'll likely do it again. There's nothing wrong with it. Be reminded about family, some that are here, some that have left, and put things in perspective. Folks that have had to deal with illness and combat, and either come out the other end, better off, or some that just wasn't able to make it. Put those loved ones in my mind and my heart, and use that to power me through and get this thing done. I look forward to it. I can't wait to test myself. There's something to be said about having to overcome something that does scare you, and something that isn't easy. It isn't easy. I mean, I've run the distance and beyond the distance many times, but for some reason, 50K still scares me. And even if I signed up for a 30K, it's gonna scare me. Crap, even the 10K would scare me. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, maybe it's because I don't race. I'm not someone who likes to toe the line and run with a crowd, and I don't know. But I'm gonna have to just move past it all and get it done. Yeah. So that's that. I need to move on to the next part of my day, like a pawn in a chessboard. I gotta make my next move, and we'll see what comes of it. Yeah.
Coming up, Rue gives us something else to think about. How vague is that, Ruel? Geez. Could you be any vaguer, Ruel? Well, it's all coming up on Ruel's Running. Okay, the book is called Eat Happy, Gluten-Free, Grain-Free, Low-Carb Recipes for a Joyful Life by me, Anna Vicino. Eat Happy has 154 delicious grain-free, gluten-free recipes that are also free of any processed sugars. There are meats, fish, sides, soup, starters, casseroles, slow cooker recipes, breakfast dishes, and even desserts to satisfy any sweets craving you might have, all with virtually no sugar. If you are low-carb, paleo, are wanting to keep autoimmune issues at bay, or just want to lose extra weight, Eat Happy gives you comfort food where you won't miss the sugars or grains, so your body and brain can feel happy from eating real foods. Okay, go get it then. Now's your chance. Yay! Yay!
Ayo, ayo. So I talked about, what was that about? I have no idea. So I talked about picking up some shoes that I'm going to use for the run. I had been curious about picking up a pair of Ultra shoes for a while. They're not as highly cushioned as the Hokas that I had been running past couple pairs of shoes, but they are wider as far as fit, which is great because the two pairs of Hokas, the ATR Challengers or Challenger ATRs, whenever they wore out, in addition to the usual wearing out at the bottom of the shoe, but the outer material at the base of my small toe, the outside, it just wears out, and a hole ends up making its way, you know. So, you know, my foot's just screaming to come out of the shoe, you know, when that happens. You know, and then now that I'm wearing the Ultras, the Lone Peaks, I can feel my feet relax. And it's not an exaggeration. And what'll happen is I'll put back the I'll put on the Hokas, try them on just because I want some variety in what I'm putting on my feet. And I feel like, you know, my feet are being constricted or, you know, compressed, and it doesn't feel good. My small toe starts to feel uncomfortable. So, you know, but what's interesting is that normal use, like day-to-day wear, it feels weird. But when I'm in the middle of a run, I'm not paying attention to how my feet are feeling in the shoe when I'm wearing the Hokas. So, I don't know. But it does make me wonder, now that my feet are more relaxed, how much more wear I can put on my body now that little bit of stress is gone. Right? Anyways, speaking of gear, you know, I mentioned I haven't done a long run in a while, meaning several hours. And in the past, what I've done, as I move gum around in my mouth, I've operated off of an old iPod Mini, if folks remember what those are. And it worked for a while, then no longer held a charge, so had to switch up to another, not as old piece of tech, but it was the iPod, I guess the first or second generation of the second generation of the iPod Nano. A bit smaller than the Mini, and it has a long, I guess, battery life. And I have a bunch of songs loaded in there from years ago. I mean, over 10 years ago. And it's great, except that I want to switch things up. And there are certain songs that are loaded in there that the device seems to think aren't whole songs. You know, there are tracks off of a DMX album that I play, and there are, you know, several skits in the album, and I guess the level of silence that happens in between or in the middle of a skit is enough for the device to think, oh, it must be time to move on to the next track. So it, you know, there's a skit in the beginning of a track, you know, the track hasn't really even started, and the next thing you know, moving on to the next track. So I kind of lose out, and it is somewhat disruptive to me trying to get into a flow of a song on the run with a song. Yeah, so that's that. Anyways, so for this upcoming race, I wanted to carry something that wasn't as bulky, even though the Nano is not as bulky as, say, an iPhone. But something really small, and that is the iPod Shuffle. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's a little square with a clip. Super small, super compact. It has 2 gigs of capacity, so I'm just going to load that thing up with a bunch of songs. I only need like 8.5 hours or so of listening enjoyment, whether that be a combination of songs and podcasts or what, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I only have a few things loaded there as testing out the thing. It's really cool. It's just a clip and earbuds, and I can get going. I don't have to worry about looking at the screen, and because there isn't a screen to illuminate, you know, the thing, as tiny as it is, it has it lasts long, you know, with its charge. You know, that saves me from having to drain my phone while I'm on the long run. I'm probably going to end up using my phone for other things, like using a phone. Updating family when, at some point in time during the thing, during the event, to let them know that I'm still alive and not eaten by any wild animals. Yeah, so that was cool. I got the shuffle at a smoking deal. Got it at a smoking discount, and I can't disclose my sources for that. But yeah, pretty pleased. Pretty pleased. So yeah, got some new gear for listening to music. Semi-new gear for shoes. I mean, only because I've been wearing them for quite a while, so they definitely do not smell new. Yeah, have to decide on whether or not how much stuff I'm gonna carry. And we'll be fueling on expired UCAN Superstarch. Yeah, that's gonna be super successful. Yeah, anything else as far as gear? Yeah, I'm not gonna track GPS, any of that stuff. And I have a Nike sports watch that'll do the thing, but I kind of don't want to. I haven't used the thing in a long time, and I'm not gonna do heart rate monitoring, which works off of the same device. I haven't done that in a long time. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Just remind myself to keep moving briskly. Try not to burn out soon. Take advantage of the downhills and try not to kill myself. And when it looks like I'll be able to finish this thing in a good amount of time, haul ass and get to the finish line. Should be fun. Yeah, and I look forward to getting the thing done and wrapping up with another podcast, kind of describing what the whole experience was like. I mean, again, as I do that, I'm not in a racing mindset. The race is just against myself and the clock. But it'll be interesting, the experience of lining up with folks and heading out. I'm looking forward to meeting some new folks, meeting people. So that will offer up a wonderful distraction, and that could actually be a disadvantage because I'll probably end up talking on the trail, forgetting about what I'm doing, and then lose time. But yeah, whatever. And that's that. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So I don't really know if I'm going to be able to get back on the mic before the run, but if I don't, I just want to say, hug a friend, hug family, eat something delicious, cook something delicious for your family, give them a hug, and go run. Something. Does that work? Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.